Gets me nervous.
Episode 2.
This is the dangerous groups that we're dealing with now.
It is bedlam. It is pandemonium. It is fandemonium.
Welcome, fellow Bills fans, to 24/7 Bills Fandemonium presents the K-Gun Report. Tonight, I'm your host, Jared, and we have joining us Scott.
Hello.
And Swank.
Yep.
Hello. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook on the tracker below. Keep an eye on that. We'll have our handles scrolling left to right for those websites. Also, keep in tune with those trackers below with updated highlights or updated stat lines for the season, injury reports, fantasy football, and also Bills news and 24/7 Bills Fandemonium news. You guys ready for episode 2 tonight?
Let's do it.
Episode deuce.
Let's do it. All right, first I'm going to go over the topics we're going to discuss, and we kind of shared it on Facebook a little earlier today. We're going to discuss the state of our cornerback unit. You know, Trey opting in kind of left us a little on edge last week. Josh Norman, is he going to be quarterback number 2, or has he got the challenge ahead of him? Also, we're going to discuss the wide receiver core. Right now we have 9 active receivers. One's on the injured reserve list, and that's Beasley. And then we'll discuss later tonight why so many players are buying into this Buffalo Bills organization. It's awesome for the fans that we have this confidence, and it's different from year to year. But this year, there's just something different, and you can feel it in the air. I'm going to quickly go over a couple updates from last week to this week. We haven't spoken in a week, so there's a lot that's happened. For the injuries, we still have Cole Beasley on the active non-football injury list. We have Tommy Sweeney still on the active physically unable to perform list. And guys, the COVID-19 list, we have nobody on it right now. The 5 players who were originally on it are off. We have also we officially signed Brian Winters. I know we were excited about that last week. That was a big topic that we discussed. But on the 6th of August, he made it official, so he's on the Buffalo Bills. Some cuts that we have. Scott, I'm sorry to say, we have Antonio Williams was cut earlier this week. Yeah, he was one of your favorites. I know. You had high hopes for that kid. Let's go with Jonathan Woodard, defensive end, Garrett Taylor, safety, and Akeem King, the guy we just picked up because Duke Williams went on the reserve, picked up Akeem, and he's now gone too. All right, fellas. Let's get right to the state. Actually, before we get to the state, we talk a lot on the show, and sometimes our mouth gets a little bit dry. And we like to drink beverages throughout the show to keep that, keep us going so we don't dry out or lose our breath and all that good stuff. So tonight, Scott, I want to go with you. What's your beverage for this evening?
It will be the same beverage every show. Out of Fairport, Iron Smoke. They're bourbon whiskey. Really smooth, good tasting. It's out of Fairport. We went with this year because Pagula was raised in Fairport, so we went with something local for her. Iron Smoke. Tastes good. Drinking that tonight.
How about you, Swank? What do you got?
I'm back on the other half train again this week, but this week I got other half Motalis joint. It's called I Have Fillings for You, and it's an Imperial pastry sour ale with Concord grape pies, cinnamon, vanilla, and milk sugar.
Oh, that sounds good. I like them sours.
That'll toast you right up at 8.2% there.
Well,
one or two of those. And tonight I'm going with a little Blue Moon action. Just your regular Blue Moon. I bought the variety pack this weekend, and it has a mango and a coffee white stout. But I went with just your Belgian white tonight, Blue Moon. And Blue Moon is going to be our beer Bills or 2020 Bills Booze of the Year. Which means this is one of the drinks we'll be drinking throughout the season. If you come to our houses, this is what you'll drink. This is what you'll find in the refrigerator. And the same goes with the Iron Smoke bourbon. That's going to be another beverage. If we get sick of the beer, that will be drink at one of our houses for the game. We also like to remind you that if you're going to drink, please drive. Yeah, please drive. Drink responsibly. Don't drive. There we go.
There you go.
That tagline almost did exactly the opposite of what you
Yeah.
intended it to do.
Yeah, I almost went with it. And I just wanted to let everyone know also, the beverages that we're drinking tonight have no affiliation with the Buffalo Bills or the NFL. They're just something that we like to sip on during the games.
Right.
All right, guys, let's get started. The state of our cornerback unit. We got a lot of talent in that unit, and it's kind of scary because we really don't know how the pieces are going to fall. We have obviously Trey White is going to be the number one. There's talk about Josh Norman being number two, and then Wallace being number two. So they're going to have to compete this year. Before we get really into it, how nervous were you guys last Thursday?
Oh, with White,
Yeah.
he made us wait till the end there, and I was kind of nervous, but he was preaching his whole family, which I totally understand. And when he said that, that's what my first thought was. He's definitely going to opt out, but I'm glad he made the choice he did. It was a choice. The reason I'm glad he made the choice he did is because it's a choice he wanted to make. So good for him.
Yeah, man. I was worried for a while. I was really worried when he came out with all that stuff about mafia members giving him and his old lady a bunch of crap about it. I mean, dude's got to do what's right for him, you know. I think a lot of the team rallied around and supported, but also encouraged him to play. I know Josh Norman said a little something about it in his press conference, but at the end of the day, I'm really glad he decided to play because that could have really took a lot of the air out of that balloon. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, yeah.
And just like what Scott said, you knew he was very confident in whatever decision he was going to make, and he went with the decision to play. And another thing that is promising is you don't hear any of the other players really getting on these players who are opting out. They're very supportive, even for different teams, of their fellow players, and rightfully so. Family first, and us three are that way. And our the fourth guy who will soon make an appearance on the show, Justin. He's the same way. He's a family guy. That's why he hasn't been able to get here yet, but he will be here. We're all family oriented, and that comes first. And so we totally understand any decision he would have made.
Right.
All right, let's do it. Scott, what do you think about this quarterback unit? Make you happy, nervous? What's going on?
It makes me nervous because of the whole no preseason thing. A lot of things get situated in the preseason. You can evaluate a lot better than you would just by the training camp, obviously. So we're going to see what they decide after all this training camp. We'll see day one who's going to start. The question is, Josh Norman number two, is he a nickel or is he number three? I have him going number two. Mostly because I think he still has it. I know he's back in the scheme and the defensive scheme that McDermott did in Carolina 2012 to 2015, the years that Norman were there. And he was an All-Pro, and he was a first-team All-Pro and a Pro Bowler. He went to Washington for 4 years also. That was kind of a forced we need you here to build us up. They were ranked 27th total defense, 25th passing defense, if I recall, when he came in. And he was fed right to the dogs there. I mean, he didn't have any talent backing him up. And now that he's coming to Buffalo, I think he can kind of jump right back into where he left off in Carolina. He's never had the duo he's had behind him in Poyer and Hyde. He's never had a number one like Trey White. I mean, this guy, he's going into the end his ninth season now as a number two. He gets to cover the number two wide receivers now. I think advantage Norman.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, I wish I was all in confident that he was going to be the old Josh Norman from the Panthers. But man, he talks that exciting game. Like his press conference this week, it got me all goosebumpy. He's talking about how he came to Buffalo to compete for a championship, how this is one of the best defensive corps he's ever played with. I mean, the guy's got to be comfortable. He's a vet, you know. He's passionate. I really just want him to come out and knock it out of the park. And I'll say this because I don't think a lot of people will say it, because I know Levi got a lot of flack last year because he was playing in Trey's shadow and he was getting picked on a lot. I think that if he is not the number two when he has to come in, he's going to do the job that he needs to do. And maybe working an off season with Josh Norman and Trey together and really picking up on how these vets work. Maybe that'll help him out, man. Maybe it'll make him the player that we all really want him to be. But yeah, I think Josh takes it. I really do.
Well, and to go off what you're saying with Josh coming in and helping out Levi and all that stuff, I had him second priority on here. Either he's going to be a second stringer or CB number 2 or a mentor. I mean, I have written here the average age for the corners currently on the Buffalo Bills roster is 23 years old.
Yeah,
that's pretty young. And to bring in Josh Norman to just give him the little hints here and there to help out with their game, I mean, that's gonna help this defense potentially have a whole lot of cornerbacks that could start on NFL teams.
Yeah, my opinion on that is just the fact that I think the pressure is off of Josh Norman now to be that number 1 stud. He can relax a little bit as far as football terms. He can relax a little bit. He doesn't have to have the eyes on him all the time, and he won't be getting that number 1 all the time. But here's another thing to think about. You have Taron Johnson, and then you have Levi Wallace, and let's say Josh Norman. Just because he's a cornerback number 2 doesn't mean he has to be out there all the time. Maybe they're gonna throw in a rotating scheme like the defensive line has, just to feel out how Norman is, or maybe it's a game time decision. Whoever is feeling it that day, or the coaches are taking the best footwork steps, and they look good during that post, before the game starts. Maybe that's going to be a game time decision. But is like last week we spoke about who we thought our defensive key was going to be for the 2020 season. I went with Josh Norman just because of the pressure aspect of it. But I really feel that he's going to step it up this year. He builds himself up, but this past week with all the quotes that he's done, he's built up his teammates too, and that's going to be another thing. And don't be surprised if there's a rotating CB number 2 out there. And it'd be exciting to watch. It's going to keep those receivers on their toes. That's for sure. You guys, what do you think about the Ike Brown and Dane Jackson? They're the other 2 cornerbacks that are going to be fighting for the spot. Any word on that, Scott?
I currently have the Bills having, I think, 7 corners on the roster currently. And last year they didn't start, but they suited up 6. So they have to get rid of one of those kids. Dane Jackson, he's out of Pittsburgh. He's pretty decent from what the film I've seen. I think he will snab that number 6 position. Unfortunately, Ike Brown out of Florida International University, I don't think he'll cut it. Keeping in mind when they drop down to 6, Ciaran Neal also played safety. He also plays cornerback as well. So he'll be bouncing around between a 7th corner or an extra safety. But as far as those 2, I feel for Ike Brown, but I think he's the one that's going to be the one cut.
Yeah, and Ike and Dane are pretty much the same size. One's 5'11", the other 6 foot, 5-pound difference. So they're both pretty big cornerbacks. So yeah, if those 2 are the ones battling out, it'd be exciting. I wish we can watch it. I wish we could. Apparently, for these training camps, they're I don't know if you guys heard much about it, but they're sending 1 camera crew in, and then at the end of the day, that camera crew, whoever they select, has to share all of their video, all of their photos with the entire other news channels around. So we're not going to be able to get as much video because you got to be at the right place at the right time for that. And the pictures are going to be hard to get, but we're just going to have to rely on these live feeds that we get from the Buffalo Bills website there when they have McDermott and Dayball, if you want to pronounce it that way. And then, each player on there too. So we're going to have to rely a lot on the live feeds that we get from Buffalo Bills, but it's going to be limited visual for us this offseason to see. So we're just going to have to go with the words that the coaches are saying. So
yeah, well, hopefully
they do. And ultimately, they're the ones making the decision. Go ahead, Justin.
No, I was going to say, hopefully we can be a resource and fill that void a little bit for everybody that's looking for, that audio and visual.
Tune in to 24/7 K-Gun.
That's right.
There you go.
All right, guys. So let's go on to the state of our wide receiver unit. Right now, like I said before, there's 10 currently on the roster. We have Beasley on the inactive list. Um, Actually, it's unclear. It's a non-football injury, so I haven't gotten any word or heard any other podcasts or anything saying why Beasley's on that list. Do you guys know?
I heard some like whisper rumors about like a lower back kind of thing, kind of like what he had going
Oh
on
yeah, it did
last
say
year.
upper back, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Or upper back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more confident in the wide receiver room than I have been in years and years and years. It's not just that one guy. Finally, you got a whole room full of people between Diggs obviously and John Brown and Beasley. He'll be ready to play, man. Like he always is. He's that kind of guy. I'm really I like Isaiah McKenzie. I know a lot of people say that Robert Foster's like more athletic and he can take over that jet sweep role and all that stuff, and he was better on special teams last year. But I don't know, man. I like Isaiah McKenzie. I think that jet sweep play, you could chomp off 7, 8, 10 yards like every single time they ran that. And he's slick for the gadgety kind of guy he is. Deeper than that, I think Davis, he's one of these guys that like hardly anybody's talking about because we have all these other guys, and I think he's going to come out and be a stud and be like a solid option to rotate in. It's the perfect scenario for him to come in and get his feet wet and learn a little bit about the NFL from these class act, awesome veteran wide receiving core that we have right now.
Well,
Yeah.
you also got to remember, I don't know if you saw the quote earlier this week, but John Brown praised the two rookies,
Yeah.
Isaiah Hodgkins and
Gabe Davis.
Davis there, Gabriel Davis, praised him, saying that he was surprised that they got the playbook. They pretty much have it mastered already, and their knowledge of football is just crazy. So it's going to be fun to, what if they both make it. Two rookies in there. Guys, so like I said, you have 10 receivers. How many are the Bills going to keep, and who do you think they are going to keep? I mean, I'm going to throw this out there quick. We still have Andre Roberts. I know a couple of people on this podcast like him, but do they? Yeah. Is he going to make the team? Is it purely a special teams guy, or is Mr. Wade there from the rugby division gonna sneak up and take that spot? And if that's the case, does that decrease the number of receivers they take? Swank, I'll let you lead this one. How many receivers you have them keeping, and who do you have them keeping?
I mean, I'd like him to keep all of them.
But you gotta cut it.
I'm gonna say
yeah.
I'm gonna say 7.
7.
Yeah, and I think Roberts is one of them. I think Wade. I know we'd kind of speculated a little bit about him maybe being a return specialist. Roberts was still top 3 in return yards last year. That's for the little bit that it really is. It makes a huge difference. It flips the field. The field position's so huge in the NFL that just getting those extra 5, 6 yards, whatever it is, it really makes a huge difference. So if I'm naming off the 7 that I think it's going to be, I go obviously the top 3: Diggs, Brown, Bees. I'm going to say Davis makes it. I'm going to say Andre Roberts makes it. Then I'm going to say this is where it gets
tough.
sketchy, man. This is where it gets sketchy.
Yeah, you like Isaiah McKenzie. So
he's got to be in. So Isaiah McKenzie. So now you're down to, a couple guys I don't want to choose between. Yeah. I love Duke, man. So it's got to be Duke. Give him another shot. Let him prove something. And he's a big-bodied guy. We don't have a lot of those. So maybe between him and Gabe, they can get some of them big old jump balls in the end zone.
Do you think any one of those receivers will jump on that practice squad like Duke Williams was last year? They hung on to him, and then he did come in when they needed him to fill in for the last couple of games of the season, and even a little bit of the playoff game. So You got to remember that even though they're going to keep 7, they can have one more in there at the practice squad.
Yeah, and I'd say it'd be Isaiah Hodgkins. I mean,
Yeah.
he the wide receiving class was so deep for the league or for the draft this year that I mean he's a guy that probably any other year would have went like 4th round. You know,
Right.
where Gabe went what 3rd? Is that where we got him or 4th?
We got Gabe in the 4th round.
4th round. Okay, so I would have said like if this was a normal season, Gabe probably would have went in the 2nd round, and Hodgkins probably would have went in the 4th, and that would have been all fine in the world. It was just so deep, so I could see them stashing him. I don't know if there's any guarantee you can keep him safe, and it'll depend on if they do anything with the COVID stuff to protect like the guys on the practice squad in case there's like an outbreak or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, he'd be my pick for that role.
Well, I had a couple analysts pre-draft say that Gabriel Davis potentially could have gone second round, and we got him in the 4th. But real quick, Jared, if I can go ahead and give you my 7.
Go ahead, jump in there.
Hey, I'm knocking 3 right.
Anyway.
I'm knocking 3 right off the bat. Nick Easley's on the team. He's going to go, unfortunately. Robert Foster, sorry, bud, I think you're out. And then it's that 7th one. I don't. It's hard to say if they're gonna keep 7 or go with 8, because of the special teams thing. No, we obviously have Stephon Diggs, John Brown, and Beasley, like you said, is number 1, 2, and 3. And then what? 4th is who? And I think the answer to that question is situation. Let me paint you a nice little picture. Josh Allen's inside the 20-yard line. Ready? And this is a realistic picture, and you guys are gonna smile after I tell you this. Ready?
I'm already smiling.
66% of
I'm
the time,
always smiling.
the Bills love to run the 11 personnel, which is 3 wide receivers and 1 tight end, right?
Yep.
Look at these 3 wide receivers inside the 20. You have Duke Williams at 6'3", 225 pounds. You have Hodgins, 6'4", 210 pounds, and you have Gabriel Davis, 6'2", 210 pounds. And your tight end is Knox, 6'4". That's looking like a pretty good throw the ball up somewhere and someone come down and catch it, right?
Yep.
Now, these guys are all recognized for their blocking abilities too. So you can go 11 personnel, spread the field a little bit, and still have Singletary run right up the gut, or even Josh Allen, because you know how he likes to do that and run right up the middle. And because I said that, I am putting Gabriel Hodgins in that 7, definitely. And I like McKenzie as the gadget guy. I know Diggs does a lot of gadget stuff himself, but if he could do it like McKenzie did last year, I mean, he put up some pretty numbers. And for those of you that play fantasy football, those are for Josh Allen. Those are each passes, so he gets points for that too. So I had him last year. That's fine.
Now, interesting picture you just painted, Scott. Just the fact that in that picture you didn't have Diggs, Brown, or Beasley out there. You had all the big guys.
Mm-hmm.
So does that give the opposing defense a little bit of confusion? Like, who's the number 1? Who am I going to take? While they're scattering around trying to figure out how they're going to cover these giants, you give it to Singletary. Or you give it to the big guy Moss, and he just thumps it in.
Boom.
But I like that picture. It's a nice picture. I'm going to put it up on the wall behind me.
I mean, just size alone. I mean, that's a pretty intimidating wide receiver core right there. And I don't mean to take out Beasley. He scored quite a few times inside the 10 last year for Allen. And Diggs obviously can come down with the ball. But Hodgins' numbers in college, I mean, he had 12 end zone targets inside the 20, came down with 9 of them for touchdowns. That's a 75% touchdown
That's pretty
rate.
good.
Yeah.
Right? And out of his 156 he had 156 catches in college, or targets, 3 of them were dropped. I can't see them dropping him off the team.
The only thing that I'll say about that is there was another player that we drafted that didn't have any drops in college, and his name was Mr. Zay Jones. And that dude came to the NFL, and he dropped everything.
I had high hopes for him.
Oh, me too. I thought I really wanted him to be like the comeback guy. And, you know, obviously Hodgins, he's not Zay. I'm just saying, like, that's sometimes that transition from college to the pros, especially without a preseason now, that'll be that could be a little rough.
Especially when you have a quarterback that's been known to have one of the strongest arms in the NFL. You got to adapt to that spin of the ball and that velocity coming at you. And you know, college quarterbacks, how many teams are D1? 112, maybe more. They're not all going to be high-quality quarterbacks. And to come in with Josh Allen, who, like I said, arguably has the strongest arm in the league. That's got a lot of, you got to adapt to that. You got to spend a lot of time at that jugs machine, just getting those fingers and wrists and forearms ready for that ball coming in, because he'll throw it.
He's gonna
And
zing
you got to
it.
be ready for it.
Yep.
A lot of body catches this year. All right, guys, listen. I got Brown, Diggs, and then Beasley for my three. I like Hodgins, Davis, Duke Williams. I have staying, and unfortunately, Swank, I got Andre Roberts going away. He's been close to the big one, and it would be interesting to see Wade back there, and because he has that rugby experience running the ball through traffic, and he's got the visual because you could see it during the preseason with those long runs that he had. So I fortunately have Wade in there. I'm saying fortunately because if he makes the team, you got to root for him. But Andre Roberts is gone.
I'll root for him for sure.
What's that?
I'll root for him.
Yeah. And then again, Scott, like you said, Foster's. I think he's had his chance. He had a little bit of glimpses of maybe promises last year to break through, but he never really got it going. But then Isaiah McKenzie, I like him. You can't. He's got a versatility that you just can't. You can't let him go. He's going to be that secret, like you said, the sweep play that he really is successful on. He's smaller receiver. He's quick, so you got to keep him. So those are my guys.
Yeah, man,
Yeah.
I like McKenzie, and if you follow him at all on his Instagram or anything, that dude, all he posts is like his daily workout routine, and you watch him run and work, and it's like he's on it, dude. Like I don't see anybody, at least with a social media presence, and I know that you put your best foot forward on there, but through all this stuff, he's just been like working and working and working, and I don't know, it's the underdog city, man. You got to root for that little guy, the speedster. For me, it's I love it. So hopefully he makes it.
All right, guys, we're going to stay on the receiver unit for a minute. We're going to talk about how we're expecting Josh Allen to get up to the 60 percentile completion rate. He went from 52 his rookie year to 58 year two, and if you just continue to go up by 6% each time, he's going to hit about 64%. That being said, the receiver is making more catches. Who, in your eyes, do you feel is going to be the receiver that has, we're going to go most receptions and yards? Swank, I'll let you lead the way. Because it's going to be one of the three.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think it's going to be?
I'm going to go with the obvious one. I'm glad you threw it to me first because I'm going to say it's going to be Diggs. I think Diggs is a professional, man. And I know those little like camps that they had down in Florida and all that stuff, it doesn't equate to a whole lot, but man, if they're getting together and they're learning each other, I think Diggs has a huge chip on his shoulder. I think Josh Allen has a huge chip on his shoulder, and I think they both want to prove everybody wrong. And I'm not saying that he's going to be throwing, 40-yard bombs to Diggs like 4 times a game, but I think he's going to chip away and chip away and chip away, and hopefully Dable's got a solid offensive plan for this year to utilize all these guys. I know last week we talked about who would benefit most from Diggs being on the team. I know Beasley is going to be wide open a lot of those times because they're not going to be able to cover everybody. But the fact that John Brown's on the team, you can't just let him run free either. So I think Diggs is going to actually he's going to benefit from having those two on his team. You know what I mean? Because you can't just focus and shut down one guy, especially out of those three. Like, they're all playmakers.
Right.
Yeah.
And then with Dawson Knox coming in, rumbling out of the back, it's like, I don't know, man. This is the first time I can think of in a long time where I do not know what the hell a defensive coordinator is going to do against this offense like that, especially if Josh's completion percentage goes up. It's going to be nasty.
Yeah, it should.
I'll make it short and sweet, Jared. Beasley will have the most catches. John Brown the most yards, only because of that deep threat, big hit ability. And Stephon Diggs will be somewhere right in the middle.
He'll be the mediocre guy.
I wouldn't say
percent.
mediocre. I'll
Yeah,
say
that's what I'm saying. In between those two guys.
I'll say he makes the Pro Bowl this year. But as far as
Oh.
receptions, it's going to be Beasley, and yards per catch will be going to John Brown.
His first Pro Bowl.
I know.
That's right. He has not made one yet, and that surprised me
Yeah.
when we signed him. And I looked into him a little bit. Surprising he has not made the Pro Bowl yet. And yeah, let's hope him and Allen make it this year. That'd be a good combination. If they make it, that means the Bills are doing successful. So good receiver core. I like
Yeah,
it.
you got it. Exciting.
All right, guys. Guess what? We're going to talk about why are a lot of players buying into the Buffalo Bills organization. Now, it's not, anybody's going to buy into the organization that they're playing with, right? If you play for the Patriots, you're going to buy into the organization. If you're playing for the Raiders, you're going to buy in. You're going to be optimistic about your team. But there's just a different feeling this year, not only for the fans watching. We have a confidence. We always have confidence. We're Bills fans. Preseason, we're 0 wins, 0 losses. We expect to just win. We've been disappointed in the past years, but like I said, this year is different. It feels different. And the players are even more vocal about it. We got Milano's comment about he absolutely wouldn't want to go anywhere else rather than Buffalo. Is he saying that from his heart, or is he saying that because he knows it's contract year and he's hoping to get a big contract? You can say that, but he's also said that the contract will work out itself. Almost the same exact words as Trey White. Trey White said he's good with his money. He knows how to spend it. He's been smart about it. He's going to play the game of football. He's going to live out his rookie contract, and he'll just let the numbers speak for themselves. He'll let his plays speak for themselves. He's not worried about his contract. And another one is even Star Lotulio. Star Lotulio. He opted out this year, and again, like we said before, we respect that totally. But last year's contract, he took a pay cut to remain on the team. Why is that? Is it so he could still play? Maybe. I think maybe a small percentage is that, but why else would you want to stay on the team if you're not going to have the potential to win the big game, right? And then you have earlier a couple months ago, Lorenzo Alexander stating that if the linebacker core or the defensive end core happens to be a little on the injury prone near the end of the season with that playoff push, call him up. He'll be ready. He wants to come back and play for the Buffalo Bills. And then
in fact, he said, "I'm ready. I'm working. If they make a run, call me up, Bean." Those were his words.
Yeah, exactly. So you have all these guys with these positive comments saying, even I think Ford just got done interviewing with another Buffalo Bills organization or a podcast saying that he doesn't care where the Buffalo Bills want to put him on the line. He'll play anywhere. He just wants to win. Guys, as Bills fans, first of all, Swank, how does it make you feel, that confidence, that different feeling that we have this year as fans? What is it? What is it about this Buffalo Bills organization? I already touched on a little bit, but tell us how you're feeling.
I mean, it's McDermott, it's Bean, it's the quality players they brought in, it's the culture, it's the buzzwords, it's the fans, it's everything, man. It's winning. It's playoff appearances. You got a young, exciting quarterback who rivals, Lamar Jackson's numbers in certain areas, and he's got a great attitude, and he's likable. I think they know how to build a good team, and they've proven it so far. So now it's like everybody can see that they're at that next level. You have Josh Norman, who came in, and as I stated before, he said he came here to win a championship. He sees it in this team. He's been on teams that have gone to the Super Bowl. So I don't know. It's exciting. It's the best feeling I've had since '91.
Hey.
So I did want to say real quick that we're coming close to a break here, so we could take a quick break and then resume after that. You guys want to try doing that?
Yeah, we got a commercial or something, or
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna throw the logo screen up grab a beer quick, do whatever, and then we'll come back on it. All right?
Yeah, we won't be long, fans.
All right.
All right, we'll be right back.
See you
Stay
in a couple
tuned.
minutes. Hey.
All right. All right, welcome back to 24/7 Bills Fandemonium, the K-Gun Report. We were talking about why so many players are buying into this Buffalo Bills organization. We had Justin touching in a little bit on, there you go, drink that nice little beer, on a couple players. If Justin, if you want to continue with what's going on, go ahead. If not, pass it on to Scott.
Well, yeah, like I said, I think it's just the overall feel and the culture of the team. And people believe in it because it's a proven commodity. You know, the defense, top 3 defense. You know, the offense it's getting its thing together, especially with the continuity on the offensive line and all the other players returning. And now you have to have a top 7 wide receiving core in the NFL right now in Buffalo. I mean, just without even playing a game together, just their history. So. Yeah, I mean, I think all those things together, that and, like, you know, where else would you rather be than right here, right now? You know what I mean?
Boom.
Good old Marv Levy. All right, Scott, let's have you touch upon Milano's comment earlier this week. I'm going to let you go with that.
We'll go. I had a few things to say about the opting in, though. But, I mean, we can talk about how about I lead in with Milano? I'll lead out with Milano to the next story, the Milano story.
Go ahead. You do what you got to do.
All right. Well, I was going to go. Jared, lead us in. To go off what Justin was saying, what makes our team a hot commodity and why Bills players are buying into them, it's a handful of things. It usually in Buffalo would have 1 or 2 things that were attractive to the fans and the players every year for the last 17 years. Now it's a handful of things. Not only do we have a top 5 defense that we touched upon, not only do we have an exciting, motivated coaching staff, we have players now that other players want to come and play with. We have the fans. The more successful we are, the more media attention we're going to get. And every time they talk about Buffalo Bills, they're talking about the fans. And what player doesn't want to play in front of the crazy fans at Buffalo? It's loud.
Pandemonium.
Pandemonium. It is. It's loud. It's crazy. And we have 72,000 people in the stands, and there's 80,000 people outside celebrating. I mean, it's. I've been to a lot of games. It's a crazy place. And the weather aside, the cold weather aside, it's a great city, and we have a lot of players advocating for the city. And it's a fun place to play, especially when the snow's on the ground and you're having fun. That winter game that they played against the Colts, they were having a lot of fun, and that's something we haven't seen in a while. So that's all I have to say about that. We'll go about Milano in his words and his expressions of wanting to stay a little longer there in Buffalo long term. It's going to be tough to get him in a it is his contract year. I know it's hard to evaluate 4-3 linebackers. I know we mentioned last week on the NFL Top 100 list, and I'm going to go by this because it's the players voting him in. There were 11 linebackers chosen, and only 2 of them were 4-3 linebackers. I could tell you why. 3-4 linebackers are getting what? They're getting sacks, right?
Mm-hmm.
3-4 linebackers are getting quarterback pressures. 3-4 linebackers are getting sack fumbles, turnovers, all that stuff. The outside linebacker is a hard position to navigate when it comes to giving someone a contract because those numbers are so different than a 4-3 linebacker. 4-3 linebackers aren't blitzing as often. Many times they're getting the running backs out doing the wheel route. Sometimes they're covering a tight end. Sometimes they're covering a little wide receiver coming across the middle. You'll see in the stats the difference between a 4-3 linebacker and a 3-4 linebacker is about double the tackles. A 4-3 outside linebacker gets double the tackles a 3-4 linebacker does.
Wow.
And I mean, you look at Barrett from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and someone like Chandler Jones, right? Top 100 Pro Bowlers, 50 tackles, 19 sacks. I mean, you're switching out the sacks with the tackles. And then you look at the 4-3 linebackers. The top 4-3 linebackers were Demario Davis from New Orleans. He had 110 tackles with 4 sacks. And I think the other one was Darius Leonard from the Colts, 121 tackles with 5 sacks. So they're not getting the sacks, but they're making a lot of tackles for losses. And you'll also see a lot more pass defense stat for the 4-3 linebackers. So to keep Milano, I know Trent Murphy is probably going to be out next year. And right now, I think he owes $7-8 million a year that will come back to the cap, and that's not including the incentives and all that. I can see the Bills offering Milano maybe anywhere between, depending how he does this year, $5 to $10 million. So I can see that being a trade out. And as we discussed last week on the K-Gun report, I would trade Trent Murphy out for Milano in a heartbeat, just because of the guys they're bringing in with Epinesa and Quentin Jefferson and the young defensive line that we have. We can do without Trent Murphy if that means keeping Milano.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, I said it last week, but I think Milano and Edmonds are just as important as Poyer and Hyde, like keeping those two together. They're a young tandem, and they're already performing well in the early years of their careers. So it would be in the beginning I was like not as hot on making him a priority as maybe extending other players, but right now if you can make it happen, I mean, I think edge rushers aren't a dime a dozen, but players like Trent Murphy I feel like are, so yeah, I think if you can save some money and save that Milano spot, that's got to be the priority going into next season.
Swank, if I'm hearing you correctly, and this is going to be a very optimistic opinion on my part, are you saying what I think you're saying in the fact that you're hoping that this Edmonds and Milano combination is the next Ray Lewis and Terrell Suggs combination?
Ooh. I don't know. I'm not a homer like that. You're the guy that predicted the Super Bowl last week, so I gotta relax on that. I don't know, man. Like, eh, who knows, right? Like,
Right.
it's anybody's game. I think that maybe not necessarily that, but they can definitely be this year's Milano and Edmonds. You know, and if
Okay.
it's anything like last year's with another year of experience under their belt, I'm 100% for that. Um, I think sky's the limit, man. Sean McDermott is a defensive mastermind, and Leslie Frazier is, just like his right hand man, feeding the way. So, yeah, I, I, I think they could do it. I think they could. I think they could make some history. Why not?
And it doesn't seem like Milano, like Trey White, is in a hurry to get that contract done.
Yeah.
He's
No, he's
focused
not.
about this year. And here's another thing to throw out there as far as Milano's contract for next year. The Bills at the other side of the linebacker crew had brought in AJ Klein, and they also had returning from an injury last year, Voshan Joseph, who I'm honestly really excited about. The guy's a thumper. He's fast. He'll turn some heads. Just watch out for Voshan Joseph, guys. But they don't have someone set at that position yet with AJ Klein or Joseph. So are you willing to have an open right outside linebacker position and an open left outside linebacker position and have Tremaine Edmonds sitting there by himself? Or are you going to lock at least someone in there that he can trust and that he knows at least one side of the ball is taken care of?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great point. Got to remember too, maybe filling in that one vacant spot isn't as hard to do as it would be in like the draft and putting somebody in a rookie contract. Maybe Bean's looking at it like a running back position, where you got these two studs that can hold it down, and then you got this other guy that they can elevate his play just by being around him. And once his rookie deal's gone, he's gone. You know what I mean?
Save a lot of money that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think there's a lot of possibility that he could be here, a lot more than I thought there would have been, a couple months ago. So,
All right. Do you guys think that Milano is going to be that type of player? I know he said he wants to stay in Buffalo, and the contract will work its way out. Do you think he'll take a little break? Because they can manage the contract where he gets paid a little bit more if they sign a 4-year contract. Year 1 is this amount, but year 4 is this amount. You know what I mean? So they can work it out that way. But do you think Milano would be the type of player that wouldn't mind taking a pay cut right off the bat if he knows he's going to get paid 3 or 4 years down the road?
Well, he's not going to get a pay cut, but he'll take less money.
I mean,
maybe.
yes, he'll take less. Yeah.
Because guaranteed money is also thrown in there as well. That can kind of skew the results a little bit based on your cap space. And you're right, when the money is given is another thing. But I think he makes $2 million now. He'll definitely make over. I said $5 to $10 million. I think we're leaning towards more the 7.5, somewhere in the middle there.
Right. It
But-
probably all depends on how he does this year as well.
Right, because I mean, you look at some of the contracts that these 3-4 linebackers with all these sacks are hitting. It's kind of, the numbers are kind of crazy, and a 4-3 linebacker is not going to get that. So, 7.5, I think, with incentives, maybe some bonuses and some signing bonuses and some guaranteed money.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems like someone that definitely is committed. He knows what the Bills' defense is all about, and you hate to talk money, but when you have such a successful young defense, you'd be a fool not to want to stay there.
Yeah.
oh yeah, and I think the team that took a shot on him, the team that has kind of obviously made his career this far. Why wouldn't you want to stay there? And they're building something great, like you were saying earlier about the buy-in and all that. Like, you got people like, well, that's one of the things too. But we were talking last week about like EJ Gaines opting out, and I had made a point earlier about how he called Bean and McDermott and wanted to get back on the team, because he wanted to get back to Buffalo and that culture and play there again. And then the dude opted out. But whatever, like family first, all that stuff, his decision, different circumstance. But yeah, I mean, I think he. Why wouldn't he want to play here? Why wouldn't Milano want to play here? You know, as long as he can, and being smart, he's gonna, you know, if year 2 and 3 of his contract is slated so that Josh gets a little bit more money, then he's gonna shave a little bit off and front load it, and do all that stuff. So I got all the faith in the world in those guys.
That's kind of how they got
All right, so we
Winters, I think, is
Yeah.
because Letellier left. They used some of that money to bring in Winters.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry, Jared, what were you saying?
No, it's a good point. With these guys signing out, it pretty much puts the contract a year behind. They're only going to have to, they take 150,000 off of the contract that's already been signed, but that does open up the cap space for getting another player in for to fill in. But I was going to say before you said that, Scott, was our defense over the years has always been good, and that's the exciting thing about the Bills. Even though we had that drought, 12 out of 16 games, we were still kind of in it. We didn't pull it off. That's what good teams do. They win at the end. But the defense has always been there. That being said, top 3 defense last year. As a biased Buffalo Bills fan, I feel like our defensive line's loaded. I feel like our linebacker core is pretty good, and our secondary is just crazy good. If you were to have to cut the budget on one of those units, where would you pick? Scott, I'll let you go with this one.
D-line.
D-line?
Letellier costs a lot of money. Trent Murphy costs a lot of money. You can get a lot of money space just by getting rid of those two. And you just brought in Vernon Butler, Quentin Jefferson. Addison is a pretty penny, but he's a sack master, and I think that's what the Bills are going to use him for this year. And you got the rookie contracts in Oliver and Harrison Phillips. So you can afford to lose that D-line, and you're going to save $15 million. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, you got Epinesa, too, on a rookie contract.
Yeah, see?
So I think that would be, in that scenario, the smart move. Where I think you're going to see the Bills cheap out in the future is probably secondary, specifically the cornerback. You're going to pay Trey all that money, and then I think it's going to be a similar scenario, kind of what we're talking about with that third linebacking position, where they try to get these cornerback studs on rookie deals and rotate them out until they can't anymore. They're going to do that combination of that, and then like tried and true veterans that are at the end of their career and just volley between that until they can find a combination that'll last a year or two. You're just going to spend so much money on Tre'Davious White. Like, it's nuts.
So,
it's nuts.
Yeah, I totally understand that, and I feel like you have to grab him. But that being said, listen to this scenario. Okay, so you're going to pay Trey White, right? You just brought Josh Norman in for a 1-year contract. If he starts at CB number 2, that still leaves Wallace as a nickelback or CB3, not getting a lot of playing time. Taron Johnson, same thing, not getting enough playing time. Is this Josh Norman signing just a holding position for keeping those two at bay so Josh Norman can come in and do well, and then when he's done, you get rid of him. Now Levi Wallace and Taron Johnson are up for their contract. They're not going to ask for so much money because they weren't CB number 2. Maybe it's all a setup to help keep that cornerback unit strong, knowing that you have those two guys. Bring in Josh Norman for 1 year, give him the money. He'll be gone next year. Then you got 2 guys that are up for a contract soon.
Remember what I said? They're all very young, very young.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
That money game, Bean's good at, and it's he's going to pay the players that deserve to get paid. But with the other guys, you hate to say it, but it's business. You have to play the game, and we'll see what happens in the next couple of years. Let's focus on 2020. But it all, as a manager of a team, as the owner of a team, as the big guy Bean, you have to look at your team for this year. But you'd be a fool not to plan for the future.
you have to.
And it's all money game. And that just clicked in my head. Maybe they sign Josh Norman for that contract 1 year to keep those stud Wallace and Johnson and the rookies kind of lowball so they
Yeah.
can give him the contract when it's time.
Hey
It's a-
guys, and what do you think about Norman? His college career and his all his pro career, he's worn the number 24. He's willing to give it up for Taron Johnson this year to wear number 29.
Yeah.
I thought that was class act. The more I think about it, as hot-headed as this guy is, as much of I hate to say about himself, but he talks about himself a lot. You think a lot of people pride themselves in carrying that same number throughout their career. Didn't sound like he gave up a fight for it at all, which I think is pretty cool.
I think, it's kind of symbolic. This is like his second shot at maybe he just wanted that fresh start. He wanted a new number, new
number,
Norman.
fresh start.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
come out here and crush it. That's what I'm hoping that motivation is. But it speaks a ton to his character, and that what young guy is like wouldn't just give up his number for Josh Norman. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that's got to be a guy that he came up watching like when he was younger and in high school and in college, and now he's a teammate of his, and I don't know, that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah,
So,
to be a fly on the wall when that happens, when
Yeah.
you're sitting there as a cornerback for the Buffalo Bills and you see that they sign number 24, Josh Norman. There's a couple things you're thinking, right? Oh my gosh, I wear his number, right? What's he gonna make me do? So, he'll
Yeah.
take my number. Or how
pay
much
me a
does he
ton of
want for
money
my
and
number?
carry my pads for like the whole season.
Right, yeah.
you know?
Jared, I'm
or
pretty
if-
sure the first thing they thought about was, oh crap, there goes my starting position.
Yeah, right.
Well, you guys got to remember, these are professional athletes. I doubt that they're saying, there goes my position. They might say, oh, now I got to compete a little bit.
Yeah.
It's only going to get better. These guys are, this isn't college ball where every other game you're going against a weak player. This is the NFL. And that brings up another point with, people are trying to throw a hashtag on the season saying, if Buffalo wins, they're going to have the asterisk by it or something like that.
Yeah,
My
I heard
main
all this
thing-
crap.
During preseason, you have a number one running back go down. Is that the end of the season? No, you don't put an asterisk next to that. Back when Tom Brady was injured, did the NFL put an asterisk on that because the GOAT was down for the season, so it wasn't fair competition? No. Deion Sanders had a quote, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that's getting him kind of in a little bit of trouble with the NFL Network. The fact that he's stating that the NFL is a business. They don't really care about the players per se. They care about the products that's being out there. And he's pretty much saying all these kids that are opting out, next man up. And that's how the NFL is. Next man up. If you decide to sit out the season, like we said, we agree with whatever decisions these players make. But you got to have in the back of your head that somebody's going to come up behind you that wants to play in this game, play in this league, and they're going to give it all. And don't be surprised if maybe you lose your contract next year, you get traded, you won't play. And that's exactly it. Getting back on the asterisks, that's next man up. It's how the NFL is. You can't put an asterisk on it just because people are opting out. It's like a big injury to a team. You still got to play the game. These guys are still professional athletes.
And how many opt-outs were there? 60-something total? Anybody know
Yeah.
the number?
Was it even that much?
I don't know.
I think it was 64 or something like that. And you're right. In the preseason alone, there's a lot more injuries than that. So coming out of preseason versus coming out of COVID non-preseason, there's actually more starters, more starting lineups that are intact than there would have been
Right,
at
and
preseason
to
games.
be honest with you, out of those 60, if that's what you're saying, Scott, 60.
67.
maybe
It's 67. Yep.
Okay, out of that, how many are starting players or big name players, right?
Well, here you go.
I got
The
the list right
Patriot,
here.
the Patriots have half of them, so they're going to use that as an excuse why they didn't make it to the Super Bowl and why they're going to get Trevor Lawrence next year as a quarterback.
Wow.
But guys, I just read that Jerry Hughes quoted saying, "I want to end my career here in Buffalo."
That's the man.
He is the man. He's 31 years old now, I think. Jerry Hughes came over A little
Colts.
while back, from the Colts. You guys remember who they traded him for?
Man, we were talking about this.
Kevin Shepard.
Shepard.
Calvin Shepard, LSU
Yeah,
linebacker.
Okay.
Which I thought was a great trade. Bills got a whole bunch of sacks out of this guy, and I think you'll see kind of a rejuvenated year this year.
Hughes. If you watch the PFF had him one of the highest rated defensive players in the league. If you watch his games, quarterback
Close.
hurries. Close.
He's close all the time.
And now you add a little bit more of that defense. That corner is Josh Norman's holding down that receiver just a little. It's a game of inches, fellas.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit longer. That receiver's not open. Hughes is going to get that strip sack. Hughes is going to get that sack. It's going to be fun to watch.
I mean, we have some sack specialists. Like I said, they brought in Addison, who I think 9.5 sacks the last 4 straight years. He's consistent. That's why they brought him in. He's going to be used for that purpose. Hughes, again, he's a rejuvenated season. He's close a lot. PPF had him rated highest pass pressure defensive end. He's going to get him this year. Epinesa, a rookie. Like I said, not a lot of prep in the preseason for these offensive lines. He's going to do what he knows best and just bull rush the crap out of these tackles. And he even plays defensive tackle, you'll see in the film, and he dominated. He's got long arms, so they're going to push that 72 sack mark, I believe, guys. You said it. I said it here. I'm going to say a lot of I said it here is on shows. There's going to be a lot of sacks this year, I believe. Last year they got a lot of pressure coverage sacks because of our secondary. This year, we still have the same secondary, if not better. Now you're going to turn a lot of those coverage sacks are going to turn into pressure sacks. And it's going to be crazy to watch. You're going to see guys flying all over the place with Oliver and Harrison doing what they do with Oliver, how tough he was at the end of the season. And then those 2 defensive ends that I mentioned prior they're going to go crazy. It's going to be fun to watch, guys. We haven't seen a Bills defense like this in a long, long time. And
I was hoping you weren't going to forget about my boy Ed Oliver. He's going to come out with a fury this year.
You ain't kidding.
You heard it here first.
Okay, so now we're talking about how Josh Norman took that number 29 instead of his 24. We also got to remember that Beasley's also making a number change, right?
Yeah, back to the future, man.
And
Swank's getting his jersey, aren't you?
You said he's going to get his jersey.
Oh yeah.
You're talking about your guy there at Oliver. You got another jersey lined up? If he's your man.
Man, I'll get them all.
Yeah.
No,
we'll take donations.
The funny thing about I have this weird thing, and I don't know if it's weird. I think it's pretty common amongst Bills fans. I hate Giants players, Redskins players, and Cowboys players twice, and Patriots and it's just like a really long list. But mostly like the Super Bowl thing, I can't do it. But Cole Beasley, man, he was like that dude his whole career. Whenever I watched a freaking Dallas game, where I was like, man, I like him. Like you gotta like the way he plays. He just, I don't know.
Even the way he talks, way he talks to the media,
handles
guys,
himself.
Let's not remember who tore us up for the years prior. Wes Welker, Julian Edelman.
Yeah,
we always wanted that small. We always envied that small slot wide receiver, and Beasley did that for the Cowboys. And when he came to Buffalo, that's the first thing I thought is, we got our slot receiver that's going to take care of it.
Yeah, and one of the best in the league. You know, which last year when that happened, man, I remember. I think it was John Brown. They announced the signing of John Brown, and I was like, okay, it's a good signing. And then they announced Cole Beasley, and I was just like, what? Like,
what's going on?
This never happens. 2? No way. And man, I was so excited about it, and he didn't disappoint.
Nope.
I mean, he did exactly everything that I thought he was going to do, and maybe a little more because he had that burr under his saddle about the way Dallas treated him.
It took a little bit. It took a little bit, but he took off. When they started connecting and Allen realized that he was a pretty significant hot commodity coming across the middle there, and he worked on his accuracy a little bit. He turned out to be one of Josh's favorite targets, and they're going to continue that. And with Stephon Diggs and Brown opening up that outside and having those linebackers have to drift or not act as fast, that's why earlier in the segment I had Beasley getting the most receptions. It may not be the most yards, but Josh Allen says he does not dump down the running backs. Well, he's going to dump down to Beasley 5 yards every time.
Oh yeah, yeah. He should be.
And I
doing
know you like Cole Beasley, and he had a pretty decent end of the season. But yeah, we enjoyed that Thanksgiving game.
Oh, yeah.
We enjoyed the fact that they beat the Dallas Cowboys on pretty much a Dallas Cowboy day, right? And they've been playing this game forever. But just the fact that Cole Beasley was the one who pretty much like put the dagger in them.
Yeah.
It's just so satisfying.
I love that play calling, man. I
back.
love drawing up that play with him down there and scoring that touchdown and rubbing it in their face, because not only did it mean a lot to the whole team and all the fans, but man, Cole Beasley, crowd surfing him out of the locker room at the end of the game, like, I don't know, you get goosebumps, like, just thinking about it, man. Like,
I saw him.
Yeah, you see it? That's a good camera right there.
Swank, I get goosebumps. Yeah, he did have a bad game, but I get goosebumps thinking about why he had a big game.
Mm-hmm.
It tells you that the coaches are in tune with the players.
Oh, yeah.
And that, listen, this guy kind of got the shaft out from the Cowboys, and he loves it here. He's expressed how much he loves it here in Buffalo. Let's have a little game plan around him. Not depend on him, but let's give this guy a little bit of what he deserves, and go from there, and let him take over. And that's what he did. So it tells you that the coaches are in tune with their players, which is huge.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it was, if you're looking at it from a fan perspective, right, it was obvious that he was going to have the juice. That's the game that you wanted him to have, right?
Right.
So, like, I know we're not coaches. I know we're not in it every single day, and maybe we kind of like glorify what those moments would be like because we want them so much as fans.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe there's something in that. Maybe there's something in being like, look, man, Cole's got that extra juice. They did it with Clay in Miami. Like,
yep, Charles Clay.
Yeah, you know, and they just turned him loose, and he was a terror, you know.
Yep.
And it's
that Miami game that he came back and played the Dolphins on. He had the first drive. I think he had 5 catches and he had a touchdown.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
They're like, okay, we're playing against the team you came from. They let you go on bad terms, and we'll dagger them a little bit. And you know, all of the I think the Dolphins that game had a 25% turnout because they're a good fan base down there.
More actual Dolphins than Dolphins fans.
Yeah, there you go.
You can hear them in the back.
The game starts at 4. We can't make that. It's nap time.
Beach time. Wow.
It's beach time. All right, guys.
All right, guys, listen, we're at the end of the show. Unless anybody has anything else they want to talk about, quick, throw it out there. Any last second thoughts?
I just say thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging with us through 2 episodes. Please make sure to like, subscribe, comment on the YouTube channel. We're also on Spotify with just the audio and the podcast at the K-Gun Report. And you can get that on Anchor and the podcast app on Apple too, I believe. And this episode will be up later on tonight. So thanks so much for the feedback and the positive support that we've gotten so far. And we're having a lot of fun, so I hope you guys are too.
Yeah, every Tuesday at 9:30, everyone. We enjoy it.
Every Tuesday at 9:30, tune in for 24/7 Bills Fandemonium, the K-Gun Report. And please drink responsible when you decide to have a beverage. Guys, have a good night, and we'll see you next Tuesday to talk about more topics, more signings, hopefully, and hopefully we can stay clear of that COVID list. And Scott's putting up his pen like you want to say something. Go ahead.
Yes, we enjoy the fan interaction. So if you guys get on the website, let us know what you want us to talk about. We're more than happy to talk about it. We'll even throw your name out there too.
All right, guys. Well, have a good night. Have a good week, and we'll see you next Tuesday. And as always, go Bills!
Go Bills!
Go Bills!